وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. عباد الله، أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. أوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداءً فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها. الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام. الحمد لله على نعمة الإيمان. الحمد لله على نعمة القرآن. الحمد لله على نعمة حبيبنا وسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين. الحمد لله على نعمه كلها ظاهرها وباطنها. أما بعد، الحمد لله. It is not really appropriate for us to have a discussion today in the khutbah without really focusing our attention to the development in Afghanistan. It is to see that some estimate about 30,000, some estimate puts it even up to 100,000 that are attempting to flee a country that is 99% Muslim. And more critically, it is both the men as well as women and children that are attempting to escape from the major cities. But also simultaneously, one has to feel delight or happiness that the United States is leaving a country that they have invaded. So we don't want to be a confused bunch. I'm a person that opposed the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan from day one. And you could actually see me on the record in 2001 as the U.S. was declaring invasion of Afghanistan. I was speaking at UC Berkeley's Proud Plaza. I said that the U.S. should send food rather than bombs to the Afghans. So I'm not confused where we need to stand in relations to the U.S. intervention and purposes behind it and all the machination. So on the one hand, we have to speak about what are the conditions that makes people run away from their own people, right? At a time where change is taking place in relation to the Taliban and the end of the U.S. intervention. And I think in here I want to give this by first getting a story of Umar to understand what is the requirement of leadership, and then I'll come back and discuss this. The story says, كان عمر ينادي زوجته يا بنت الأكرمين. That Umar radiallahu anhu used to call his wife, O daughter of the most honorable ones. يا بنت الأكرمين. كان يكرمها ويكرم أهلها. That Umar used to be generous both in spirit as well as in all what he wants or what he wants to give to her family. كان يكرمها ويكرم أهلها. Says في إحدى الليالي كان عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه يدور حول المدينة. That on one night Umar used to go around to check around the city ليتفقد أحوال الرعية, to check on his subject, or رعية is literally his flock. Often in religious texts it's used the same terminology for a shepherd and his flock. It's the same in relations to Moses, in relations to the Prophet ﷺ, because you always try to keep them safe. فَرَأَى خَيْمَةً لَمْ يَرَهَا مِنْ قَبْلِ. He saw a tent that he didn't see it from before, which is again that he was so aware of what is taking place in the community. So a new arrival in the community, he immediately recognized that this is a new tent in our mix that I have not seen it before. فأقبل نحوها متسائلا ما خبرها. That he came to this tent to try to see what is the news, what is going on in this tent. And when he went to it, فَسَمِعَ أَنِينًا يَصْدُرُ مِنَ الْخَيْمَةِ. And he felt or heard the pain. Aneen is like a sound of pain, right? And Innu is like, that is Aneen, that he heard from that sound coming from the khayma. فَازْدَادَ هَمُّهُ. That his concern increased hearing this coming from this khayma. ثُمَّ نَادَى. So he called upon the khayma, the people. فَأَتَى رَجُلٌ. That the man of the tent came out, and Umar asked him, "Man ant? Who are you?" He says, أَنَا رَجُلٌ مِنْ إِحْدَى الْقُرَى مِنَ الْبَادِيَةِ. I am a man from the Bedouin areas, from the nomadic areas. وَقَدْ أَصَابَتَنَا الْحَاجَةِ. That a need, and in here الحاجة meaning that they're poor, they don't have provisions, that they are in a state of destitute. فَجِئْتُ أَنَا وَأَهْلِي نَطْلُبْ عُمَرَ. That myself and my family came to seek Umar. And he doesn't know that he's speaking to Umar radiallahu anhu, which is also itself is an indication, because these days, MashaAllah, Muslim leaders, they don't move around without having what you call an entourage of 1,000 people around them, as if you are coming you're touching gold, right? And in some places, in other parts of the world, the prime minister or the leader actually rides a bicycle around town. We have to have a Lexus or a Rolls Royce with 50 Rolls Royces in the front and back, and 100 motorcycles around. So again, just to see that Umar was not recognizable to this person, and he was again checking on the people. We might work in the olden days, but again, we could actually see similar circumstances today in other parts of the world. Because often people say, "Oh, that was from a long time ago." I point to the president of Uruguay, who actually drives a VW Bug, right? He donates most of his salary, and he's been living in the same house, right, as the time he was elected as president. And he doesn't have any entourage. He just walks and drives his buggy to the office and come, right, in this sense. The Bedouin says, فَقَدْ عَلِمْنَا أَنَّ عُمَرَ يُرْفَدُ وَيُرَاعِ الرَّعِيَّةِ. That we heard that Umar is a person that when you come to him, he attends to those who come to him, and he attends to his ra'iyah, he attends to his flock. فَقَالَ عُمَرُ وَمَا هَذَا الْأَنِينَ. What about this sound that I'm hearing, this painful sound that is coming? He said, هَذِهِ زَوْجَتِي تَتَوَجَّعُ مِنْ أَلَمِ الْوِلَادَةِ. This is my wife, is in the tent. She's going through the pains of giving birth. And Umar immediately said, وَهَلْ عِنْدَكُمْ مَنْ يَتَوَلَّى رِعَايَتَهَا. Do you have anyone in there that can attend to her giving birth? Because he wanted to see if there is somebody there. قَالَ لَا أَنَا وَهِيَ فَقَطْ. No, there is only me and her here. So Umar said, wait, I will take care of nafaqah, expenditure, and someone to take care of his wiladata, with her giving birth. Again. So ذهب عمر إلى بيته وكانت فيه زوجته كلثوم. Umar went to his house, and his wife is there, Kalthum. And Kulthum is the daughter of Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Right? He calls her, Ya bint al-akramin, oh, the daughter of the honorable ones. هل لك في خير ساقه الله لك. Would you have some portion in a khair, in a good, that Allah brought it to you? So again, when a poor, when a needy, when anyone that is in need coming to you, that is Allah that is bringing it to you. So Umar is asking, would you have a portion of it? فقالت وما ذاك. What is this? Or what is it? Umar said, هذه هناك مسكينة فقيرة تتألم من الولادة في طرف المدينة. That there is a woman that is going through the pain of birth in the side of the city. Then she asked Umar, فهل تريد أن أتولى ذلك بنفسي? Would you like me to take care of it with myself? Meaning, I'm volunteering to take care of it. فقال قومي يا ابنة الأكرمين وأعدي ما تحتاجه المرأة للولادة. O daughter of the most honorable ones, get up and prepare things that are needed for giving birth. وقام هو, and he got up وقام هو بأخذ طعام ولوازم الطبخ وحمله على رأسه ذاهبا. Then he himself went and got the food stuff, because she was attending to the birthing need, and Umar got the stuff for cooking and food, and he held it on his head. He didn't have what you call the entourage, right, behind him, not only to carry all the stuff, but in general. So he carried the food stuff, and they headed up to the khayma. وصلا إلى الخيمة ودخلت أم كلثوم لتتولى عملية الولادة. So they reached the tent, and Kulthum went to the tent to try to attend to the wilada. وجلس عمر مع الرجل خارج الخيمة. And Umar sat out with the man outside the khayma and began to cook and had the fire on, that all the smoke was mixed with his beard. That's what the description is saying. Kulthum min al-khayma tunadi. After all this, the man doesn't know whom he's dealing with, the woman doesn't know. Then Kulthum min al-khayma tunadi, Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, أخبر الرجل أن الله قد أكرمه بولد. But the woman is saying, Oh Amir al-Mu'minin, the prince or the commander of the faithful, inform the man that قد أكرمه الله بولد, that Allah has given him, blessed him with a son, وأن زوجته بخير, that his wife is in good condition. عندما سمع الرجل منها يا أمير المؤمنين تراجع إلى الخلف مندهشا. That when the man heard that this is Amir al-Mu'mineen, he stepped back, like being shocked by this. فلم يكن يعلم أن هذا عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه. That he didn't know that this was Umar ibn al-Khattab. فضحك عمر وقال له أقرب نعم أنا عمر بن الخطاب. Come close, I am Umar ibn al-Khattab. والتي ولدت زوجتك هي كلثوم. And the woman that gave birth to your child is كلثوم ابنة علي ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib. فخر الرجل باكيا وهو يقول, the man went down to his knees crying, آل بيت النبوة يولدون زوجتي. Right? That the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are the one that are giving birth to my, or helping my wife give birth. وأمير المؤمنين يطبخ لي ولزوجتي. And Amir al-Mu'mineen, the commander of the faithful, the Khalifa of the Muslims, are cooking for my family and myself in my tent. Now I wanted to have this story because we have lost a sense of what is it to actually serve and rule over a community. And I'm not here critiquing the Taliban or what might develop in Afghanistan. This is a country that has been at war for 40 years. And before that, it's been in a war for almost 100 years or even more under what's called the Great Game. It is so insulting that Afghanistan has always been used as a great game for powers. The British and the Russians fought and used Afghanistan as a game between them. The British on 3 occasions had wars up to the 1919 period, after World War I. Finished that, then the United States and Russia fought over Afghanistan during the Cold War from the US to try to prevent Russia from supposedly getting access to warm water ports, while the Russians were sucking out the natural gas from the north, and they were fighting over it. Then during the war on terrorism, the whole reorientation of the world used Afghanistan as a springboard, and then the invasion of Iraq. And now, Afghanistan is still in the hub of a great game between Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Iran, United States, and Europe. And I think what we need, my advice at least to myself, and I would love to advise our brothers in Afghanistan, that for them to take time to reflect upon how they've been instrumentalized and being used as a game for global positioning, including some Muslim countries. Again, I'm not absolving Muslim countries because they feel that the best Muslim is the Muslim that they throw out to the front line to die on their behalf. So I'm not absolving our Muslim world. Again, the ones that you have what you call, not the Umar entourage, but the ones that have all types of entourages, right, across the board. And again, this is not the occasion to name names and list countries, but if you just look at the Muslim world, which country can give you, alhamdulillah, mashallah. It's like we have 55 Muslim majority countries. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ said, we are like a flood, the water of the flood, that does not leave anything except destruction in its behalf. And I think what we need is, again, to critique ourselves. While I'm always, again, anybody knows, I critique the United States from day in and day out, from before Fajr to Isha. So you can't say, oh, the person is just praising the United States. I'm not. I'm an equal opportunity. I critique the United States. I critique the French for their treatment of Muslims. I critique the Indians for treatment of Muslims, the Hindutva. So many equal opportunity. But we need to take responsibility as well of how we distorted our understanding of Islam. We use it as a power over one another rather than a service to one another. The Prophet ﷺ said, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best of you is the best to people. He didn't say best to Muslims, he said the best to people. And for me, it's painful for us to witness Muslims running away from Muslim lands, hanging on planes that will get them to die, and you see people dying out of the plane. For me, as a Muslim, that is a painful thing to witness and to see at this particular time. And they're running because somebody is claiming that they are actually taking and want to rule the society with Islam. For me, that is the calamity. If you just can't see it and can't feel it, then there's something wrong for how we relate with it. Again, and I'm not a person that speak ill or try to pick a fight with people about their implementation of Islam. Again, I see Islam as a spacious river that everybody can swim in it as long as you have Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our fiqh is vast in terms of differences of opinion. But to witness this is for me is really a painful calamity at this particular time. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفروه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونتوب إليه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. Now I know in the next few weeks we're going to be receiving a large number of Afghan refugees coming in. We already are seeing some of the individuals that are coming. The Bay Area is the home to the largest Afghan population outside the borders of Afghanistan. They've been arriving into this country from the late 70s, where the United States gave them a special status during the war. Again, we could discuss this, but there will be a large number of Afghans coming, which means that the Muslim community have to respond somehow, some way, or institutions. But what I want to is not to actually get your judgment about individuals coming. If the Prophet ﷺ was able to give the Meccans forgiveness after they fought him, they killed his uncle, they chased him out, again, we need to understand the difference between the human need and the political critique. There is a time for political critique that we need to continue to engage in, but at the same time, there are our brothers and sisters, even if they have committed something wrong, that what we need is find a way to actually address their needs in the days and months ahead, especially for the women and children. And so again, if you had an issue with individuals that have engaged in X, Y, and Z, for sure don't transmit this attitude-wise and perspective-wise to the children and families. This is very, very important in the days and weeks ahead, because this is something that we would be facing coming in the next days and weeks ahead. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم إني داع فأمنوا اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا بالخير شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالخير ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من وليت تبارك ربنا وتعاليت ربنا ردنا للإسلام ردا جميلا ربنا ردنا للإسلام ردا جميلا ربنا ردنا للإسلام ردا جميلا اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه يا رب العالمين اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين اللهم ارحم المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين اللهم اشف مرضى المسلمين جميعا يا رب العالمين اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا اللهم إنا مغلوبون فانصرنا وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون